The stages 1, discover, and 2, express are behind you. So you know more about your life passion, you know how to define your goal clearly, and you understand in what way you'd like to express yourself, and most importantly, to what you're truly ready for, how you'd like to express your passion right now. And this is stage 3, clean. That's the stage about elaborating the roadmap towards your goal, identifying the blocks on the way, and getting rid of those blocks. And that's why it's called clean, because we're gonna clean this way from all the barriers that you might have in order for you to jump where you want to be. I see 2 types of blocks on that way. One is the most obvious, external type. Second one is internal. External blocks are always about doing some actions, some external actions, some physical actions in order for you to get something, to acquire some knowledge, some resources, so you finally can get to your goal. Those resources could be tangible or intangible, but either way, you need to do something so you finally can have them and therefore can get rid of this external obstacle. External obstacles are the most obvious one because of course you have to do something in order to get to your goal. For example, you're changing your career and you either have to learn some new skills or maybe rent a place to open your store. Something has to be done in order for you to get something. You cannot just simply have it all without doing anything. Second type of obstacle is less obvious and they're called internal. They're less obvious because they are simply internal. It's something that we have inside of us, such as fears, disbeliefs, unproductive habits that stop us from getting where we want to be. And those are the obstacles that we all need to take into consideration. We all have them. Doesn't matter how ideal or perfect you think you are, we all have them. The simple difference is that some people have bigger ones and some of us have less to get rid of, but we all have them, especially when it comes to changing radically our lives and pursuing something that we haven't even dreamed about doing before. It's essential to take into account those obstacles, understanding what are the main ones that are blocking us from moving on, because sometimes even if we do everything we have to do in order to get this goal, we don't get this because of this energy of that fear that stops us from getting the final result. I saw it in my experience, I see it with my clients. They do matter. Those obstacles do matter. If we do not even think of them or do not take them into consideration, doesn't mean they simply disappear. It means that we waste our energy pretending that we don't see them. This is my simple example to show you how ridiculous and how wasteful it is not to admit you have those obstacles. Imagine you are in the empty room and the only thing you have there is a table. It's a huge table and it's that big that it separates the room into 2 parts. And your goal, your objective is on the other side of the room. So in order to get to your objective, you have to pass through the table, but you cannot because it's there. When we pretend that we don't have any inner blocks, it's like we're pretending that the table is not there. But it's still there. Even if we pretend very hard, even if we close our eyes, it's still there. It simply blocks us from going where we want to be because the table is there and we cannot pass through this. Or it means that we're actually dragging this table with us, wasting our energy on a useless thing in order to get where we finally want to be. Still pretending that it's not there, even though we're dragging it with us. So instead of pretending that it's not there, it's time to admit, yes, I see the table, yes, it's huge, and it seems big, but I finally see it, so it means that I'm gonna grab it and move it, and maybe it's not as heavy as it looked. So afterwards, your way will be clear, and you can easily go and get where you want to get. That's how we need to treat our inner blocks. We have them. It's okay to have them. It takes lots of courage to admit that we are vulnerable, that it doesn't take only actions to get where we want to be. Sometimes it requires some inner work, and it does require some willpower to move the table, to say, yes, I have this, even if it's ugly and it's not nice. So let's stop wasting our energy on pretending the table is not there. Let's just say it's there and move it away. When I work with clients and our work reaches the point when we have to deal with internal blocks, first of all, we see if those blocks are very heavy ones, super loaded with negative energy and rooted very far in the past, of course, I make sure I reference the person to a right specialist or maybe even a therapist that could be useful in this case. Or maybe they're not that heavy and person just need a little bit of tools, little bit of kick in the butt and encouragement at the same time, and that's where I come in handy. Either way, in big jump we never skip the stage number 3. It doesn't matter how big these obstacles are, because if you don't deal with them now, you will have to deal with them later. In both cases, external or internal obstacles, if you're just starting, it's always useful to work with a coach or therapist or have some external help. Remember that it's okay to ask for help. It's not about weak, it's about being realistic and productive. In a big jump, we look obstacles in the eye and therefore we get rid of them.